So if you take in consideration all the stuff that I've said thus far in this session, now you imagine two people who are technically the same. One is masculine, one is female, or God knows whatever kind of gender games you'd like to play. It's irrelevant to me. But you bring two people together, whether it's in a so-called romantic relationship or a professional relationship or a friendship relationship. It doesn't even matter. And you bring these two people and you bring them together. What do you think is going to happen? Well, I'm going to tell you another secret. Whatever is unconscious in you still expresses itself. I'm going to say it one more time. These are my numbers. I'm telling you that more than 99% of whatever the hell you think you are, your psyche, is unconscious. And no matter how it's repressed and how protected and how intense your firewall is, it's still, those energies must express themselves. They cannot not express themselves. So whenever two people are going to connect, well, somehow this is still at play. It will just not be done straightforward. The person will not just stab you with their actual knives. They will find, unconsciously is the word, a strategy to express how and what they really think and feel. You can't hide the truth. You can make it look invisible to the people who don't have eyes to see. And that's why people love the surface world, because in the surface world, where stupidity reigns supreme, everything that's unconscious has disappeared, therefore it doesn't exist. You can't see it, it doesn't exist. Isn't that what your bullshit science teaches? If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. Well, that's why people love the surface. That means everything that lives inside of me, all that depth, which is subtle depth, all those dimensions which are subtle, very real, subtle, they are not there because you cannot see them. And everybody's very happy, so they go at the surface and they're being literally controlled by their unconscious mind, and their unconscious mind is placing and adjusting and creating scenarios so whatever it wants comes to pass in one way or another. Keyword, in one way or another. And then people wonder why I can't be in decent relationships, I can't keep a job, everywhere I seem to go there's problems, every time I'm with a person it's problematic, it's painful. Yeah, it's painful because you have no idea what lives inside of you. You're trying to pretend that you're something that you're not. The person you're meeting is full of darkness, pretending to be something that they're not. And these two characters, and if maybe you're lucky in the superficial personas, they match to a certain degree. Good, enjoy. But that's not going to last for long, because then what? We've played golf, we made love, we went to Paris, and then what do we do now? Like we've covered it. You told me your favorite movie, you told me what your dad told you when you're 6, you told me when your first boyfriend dumped your ass. Then what? What do we do now? What else is there to share? That's it, there's nothing more. That's because you live at the surface. There's nothing else to you. Just a basic, boring fucking story you've told how many times? Have you ever gone to a party and you know exactly what the person that you already know says? You always say the same thing? You know what I'm talking about? Boom, story. I got a friend like that. She's like a parrot, always saying the same thing. I know exactly, the moment she starts the story, I know exactly what she's going to say. And then that person turns around, talks to another group of people, says the same story again. You don't know what happened to me. And boom, again and again. Because people have nothing to say. They're boring. Because they live at the surface. So there's so much that we can say about the surface. That's why you need endless amounts of entertainment so that you have stuff to talk about. Because you don't exist. You are uninteresting. And the person you meet is also uninteresting. I don't care if you meet the most beautiful woman on earth. At some point, her beauty becomes the norm for you. Well, you got accustomed to it. At some point, it's even going to annoy you. Did you see how her nose is always so perfect? It's going to start irritating you. The perfection of her nose is going to start being an irritant because it's like, fuck! Why is the line always straight? Give me a fucking line with like a curve or something. What the fuck is this? So at some point, everything gets boring. Yes, I work and I'm shaving belugas. Congratulations. Then what? It's boring. There's nothing new. So this is most relationships. They get boring very fast because we're always at the surface. So I just mash two things at the same time. I follow the flow of my panel here. What I'm trying to say is that, A, when you bring two people together, or three, gets worse, four, more minds, that's what I'm trying to say. And the minds in each individual is not, there's no alignment, there's no integrity, there's no clarity. So it's chaos. And all those subtle aspects of the mind are trying to get their peace, fighting power struggles in one way or another. Literally, you are in the Game of Thrones, except it's not as quote-unquote vicious on the outside because the law doesn't allow that to happen. If the law allowed this to happen, what fucking mad world we're living in? That's the first part. The second part of the mash I was saying is that you're in a relationship and you get bored because you just stay at the surface. I just mashed two fucking things completely together. That's awesome. The point is, I was just trying to say, when you live always at the surface, you get bored. And the relationship is always the same because there's nothing new. You want something new, you have to go dive into the psyche. You got to dive into all of what you are, and that's ever expanding. So the relationship is always new because you always have something new to discover. Now I put the two threads together. Thank you so much.